When England's schools closed back in March, millions of parents were forced overnight to take up teaching. As weeks turned into months, Sephora and Tyra, each parents to 3 children in Halifax, found it an impossible task.
First week we had a timetable, but I think by the end of third or fourth week the timetable didn't exist. At one point I'm doing algebra with my 10-year-old. I'm teaching subtraction, and then the other one I'm trying to tell her how to write numbers down. It's very hard.
My youngest, her birthday's in August, so she's one of the youngest, and the first year she was at school she was at the bottom. They brought her up to the top, and now I can see myself that she has dropped. Her level has dropped.
It's not just parents worried about catching up. 15-year-old Aidan from Preston has been shielding since the pandemic began. He lives with his grandmother, who struggled to teach him from home. A lack of tutors in the north prompted the University of Central Lancashire to launch its own scheme and help plug the gap.
I'm worried about falling behind, mainly because just not being in school is hard. The teachers do a lot of stuff with you and help you with everything, so just being at home isn't really enough.
Without this scheme, I couldn't afford to pay for some. I would have liked to have done, but I couldn't afford it. I'm a single grandparent. I've had to take these 2 boys because their mum passed away in October, so it's been hard.
It's hoped other universities in the north will launch similar schemes when the government rolls out its national tutoring programme later this year.
Hi Alicia.
Here in Conisbrough,
Nice weekend.
once at the heart of the Labour Red Wall but now a Tory seat, primary school children are enjoying their first week back.
Yeah, we acknowledge that there has been a gap in the country prior to this, and it is something we're all very conscious as educators, and I couldn't put a timescale on it. We just need to keep doing the very, very best we can and make the provision as good as it can be for all of them.
1 in 5 pupils at this school is eligible for free school meals, but being from the north could have an even bigger impact on their future. The Institute for Fiscal Studies analysed data from 2019 showing that in London, 45% of children receiving free school meals ended up at university, almost twice as many as those in Northern England. Staggeringly, children receiving free school meals in London were also more likely to go to university than children not receiving free school meals in Yorkshire and the North East.
The indicators that I've been reading through over the recent months suggests that the north-south divide is not closing, but is actually widening again.
Doug Martin studies regional inequalities and says it's time to redefine how schools work.
If we move to a schooling approach which is inclusive of communities, engages with the communities, open 7 days a week, community facilities offered, then I think we could reduce the impact of this horrible pandemic on particularly the most disadvantaged in the north of England.
Widening inequality was partly what prompted the government to U-turn on an A-levels grading algorithm in August. But some universities now fear they'll miss out on students and their finances will suffer.
All universities, particularly those that were doing the most to try and help access, are obviously overwhelmed by it. And it's very disappointing for a government that keeps banging on about the slogan of levelling up. You know, when are we going to see some evidence that they're actually seriously thinking about the underlying issues?
Back in Halifax, Sephora is worried about what lies ahead for her community.
I'm sure Parkwood is again going to come down. Halifax and all these areas where the education is on a low level anyway, it's only going to fall below.